There are moments in life when you feel boxed in, trapped by circumstances that defy logic. You pray, you wait, you endure, you wonder if God has forgotten. But hear this. When God allows you to be confined, restricted, or delayed, He is not punishing you. He is positioning you. The enemy thinks he has you surrounded, but what he doesn't know is that heaven has a plan that's about to be unveiled. And when God breaks you out, it won't be with just a sigh of relief. It'll be with a blessing so massive, it will first shock you before it shifts you. There are times when God allows darkness not to destroy you, but to conceal you. When Joseph was thrown in the pit, sold into slavery, and locked in prison, it looked like rejection. But that rejection was divine redirection. God was preserving him for a moment of manifestation that would silence every voice of doubt. You see, when God blesses you, He doesn't just bring you out, He brings you out loaded with wisdom, loaded with favor, loaded with influence. Joseph didn't just exit prison, he entered the palace, and the same God who did it for Joseph is working behind the curtain of your confusion. Some of you are trying to fix what God is trying to finish. You're wrestling with doors that won't open, relationships that won't align, and opportunities that feel overdue. But listen closely. When God steps in, He doesn't need your plan. He needs your permission. He needs your surrender, because what's coming is not natural, it's supernatural. It's not average, it's unprecedented. And before it blesses others, it will shock you. It will overwhelm you. It will silence your complaints and upgrade your conversations. God is not just the God of getting by, He's the God of breaking through. And sometimes before He elevates you, He isolates you, not because you're abandoned, but because you're being hidden for a divine unveiling, like Moses in the desert, like David in the pasture, like Jesus in the wilderness. Hidden does not mean forgotten. Concealed does not mean canceled. You've been in training, not in trouble. You've been in preparation, not punishment. You've been planted, not buried. And when God says it's time, no man, no devil, no system can hold back what heaven has scheduled. The blessing coming your way is so weighty that it requires a season of breaking, not to destroy you, but to fit you, not to punish you, but to position you. Because if He gave it to you too soon, your character might crush under the weight of it. But when He gives it to you now, you'll have the maturity to manage it, the humility to steward it, and the wisdom to multiply it. You're not behind time, you're on God's time. And His time is always perfect, always precise, and always powerful. God is not just about doing things in your life, He's about doing things through your life. This blessing is not just for you, it's going to ripple into your family, your bloodline, your generation, and your territory. People who once doubted you will ask for your advice. People who overlooked you will want your endorsement. You're not coming out of this with just a testimony. You're coming out with a legacy. And what's about to hit your life will rewrite your history. Get ready for divine reversal. The last shall be first. The rejected shall be crowned. The barren shall produce. The silent seasons are over, and the sound of abundance is rising. What looked like the end is about to reveal itself as the beginning of something that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. God is rewriting your story with His own pen. And the chapter He's about to release won't just make you smile. It will make you weep with gratitude. Sometimes, before the blessing comes, God breaks your routine. He disturbs your comfort. He rattles your patterns. Because what's coming is not business as usual. You're not just moving into a new place. You're moving into a new position. You're not just shifting locations, you're shifting dimensions. And the warfare you faced is proof that your blessing has a weight to it. The enemy doesn't fight empty hands. He fights prophetic carriers. He doesn't battle the insignificant. He battles those who are pregnant with purpose. You've cried long enough, you've labored long enough, you've waited in silence while others advanced. But now God says, I'm about to break you out, not with just a change, but with a charge. Not with just an escape, but with an elevation. You're going to look back at this moment and say, if I hadn't been through that fire, I wouldn't be ready for this favor. The blessing that's coming is going to justify every tear, every delay, every unanswered prayer. What looked like wasted time will prove to be sacred timing. There is a sound of movement in the spirit, a shaking in the realm of heaven that signals a shift in the natural. Something is being released. You didn't earn it, it's favor. You didn't plan it, it's providence. And when it hits, you won't be able to explain it, only experience it. Your mouth will open in awe. Your heart will bow in worship, because what's coming will not make sense. It will make history. God is about to decorate your life with evidence. Evidence that He was with you in the silence. Evidence that He was writing while you were weeping. Evidence that He was orchestrating while you were obeying. So don't be surprised when the doors open so wide you have to run through them. Don't be shocked when your name is mentioned in rooms you never entered. Don't be confused when your battles suddenly become your breakthroughs. You're not lucky, you're chosen. You're not overlooked, you're reserved. And the reason your blessing will shock you is because it was never limited to your ability. It was always rooted in His sovereignty. Now is not the time to shrink. Now is the time to stretch. Get your spirit ready. Open your hands, sharpen your vision, align your faith, because when God breaks you out, it won't be gradual. It will be sudden. It won't be small. It will be staggering. It won't be familiar. It will be divine. And all you'll be able to say is, "This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes." There comes a point in every believer's journey where the silence feels deafening, the doors don't open, the prayers feel unanswered, and the days seem to stretch into long nights of wondering, "God, where are you?" It is in this place between the promise and its fulfillment that many begin to feel abandoned or delayed. But what feels like a delay in the natural is often divine positioning in the spiritual. God, in His infinite wisdom, is never late, and He is never idle. He is intentional about everything He does, even the waiting. You may feel boxed in as though life has placed you in a holding pattern, circling endlessly above the runway of purpose. But what you perceive as stagnation is actually precision. God is not making you wait to frustrate you. He is setting the stage for something far greater than your current understanding can perceive. He is working on the timing, the alignment, the conditions, and most importantly, on you. He is not only preparing the blessing for you, He is preparing you for the blessing. Because the magnitude of what He's about to release into your life requires a foundation strong enough to hold it. Look at the life of Joseph. His dream was clear. His vision from God was vivid. But the pathway to that promise was anything but straightforward. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned, at every turn it seemed he was going backwards. But in heaven's eyes, he was moving steadily forward. Each step that looked like a setback was actually a setup. Every closed door was protection. Every rejection was redirection. God was navigating him through terrain he could not understand to reach a destination far greater than he could have imagined. If God had elevated Joseph prematurely, he would not have been able to steward the weight of Egypt's economy. He needed time in obscurity to develop leadership, wisdom, humility, and spiritual maturity. That time wasn't wasted. It was woven into the destiny God had already written. And so it is with you. The moments that seem like nothing is happening are the moments where the most is happening. God is crafting, building, shaping behind the veil of the visible. You can't see it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not being formed. Many times we judge God's presence by what we see. We assume if the doors are opening, He is near. If they are closed, He is distant. But the opposite is often true. Some of God's greatest movements in our lives are quiet. They're not in the earthquake or the fire, but in the still, small whisper. He is guiding your steps while your eyes are fixed on the storm. He is organizing divine connections, orchestrating timing, and weaving moments together in a tapestry that will only make sense when you look back and see how the broken pieces formed something beautiful. The delay is not a denial, it is design. Heaven is preparing a blessing of such magnitude that it must arrive at the precise moment it will produce maximum impact. And if you rush ahead of God, you may receive a blessing that your character cannot sustain. That's why the waiting season is sacred. It is not punishment, it is protection. It is not a prison, it is a cocoon. It is the place where your wings are formed in silence so that when you emerge, you don't just fly, you soar. Consider the bamboo tree. For years you see no visible growth. You water it, tend it, nurture it, but it seems dormant. Yet underneath the surface, a vast and deep root system is being developed. Then suddenly, in a short span, the bamboo shoots up feet into the air almost overnight. But that sudden rise would never be possible without the slow, unseen process that preceded it. Likewise, you may feel like nothing is changing, but deep within, God is anchoring you, expanding your spiritual roots, building the capacity to carry what He's about to release. What feels like confinement is often consecration. God is sanctifying your motives, purifying your intentions, and fine-tuning your hearing. Because when He breaks you out, the blessing will be so loud, the favor so visible, and the door so wide that if your heart is not aligned, the very thing that was meant to lift you could crush you. He is building endurance, resilience, and discernment, not to keep you in delay, but to make sure you arrive complete, not compromised. You are not stuck, you are being shaped. You are not forgotten, you are being forged. The silence around you is not emptiness. It is the echo of divine activity. God is not delaying your life. He is developing your destiny. And when the appointed time arrives, the very moments that once felt like punishment will be seen as the place where power was cultivated. The pause will make sense. The wilderness will have purpose. And the blessing will not just be received, it will be carried with depth, gratitude, and vision. So hold on, breathe deep. Trust deeper, because when God finally moves, and He will, it will not be small, it will not be late, and it will not be ordinary. It will be so massive, so timely, and so overwhelming that your only response will be tears of gratitude and a heart bowed in awe. You are not just waiting, you are being positioned for something that will not only shock you, but will also glorify Him. There are times in life when everything seems to go quiet. The phones stop ringing, the opportunities dry up, the invitations cease, and the crowd you once called close fades into shadows. In these moments, you may feel overlooked, unappreciated, even forgotten, but you are not forgotten. You are hidden. Hidden by God, not as a punishment, but as a form of protection. When God hides you, it's because what He's placed inside you is too valuable to be exposed too soon. He is not delaying your destiny, He's guarding it. God has a pattern. Before He reveals, He conceals. Before He displays, He develops. Before the world sees what you carry, heaven secures it in obscurity. Look through the scriptures and you'll find the same rhythm. Moses spent 40 years in the desert, away from the noise of Pharaoh's palace. David was anointed king, yet went back to the sheepfold. Jesus Himself spent 30 years in obscurity before 3 years of public ministry. Why? Because visibility without maturity is a recipe for disaster. God hides greatness so it can grow in safety. What you call rejection may actually be redirection. When you feel sidelined, passed over, or invisible, don't rush to assume something is wrong. Sometimes God removes you from the spotlight because what He is building in you cannot be interrupted by the applause of people. Exposure too early can damage destiny. Recognition before readiness can wreck what God is preparing. So in His mercy, He hides you, not to punish you, but to process you. This hidden season is sacred. It is where character is refined, integrity is built, and vision is clarified. It's where motives are purified and intentions are realigned. When the crowd is gone and the noise fades, what remains is you and God. And it's in this private, protected space that true transformation begins. There is no pressure to perform, no platform to maintain, only the presence of the one who called you. God whispers in hiding what He will one day shout in the open. He deposits revelation that public platforms cannot provide. God's hiding is not abandonment, it is incubation. He's allowing purpose to take root, dreams to mature, and strength to grow in silence. Just like a seed is buried beneath the soil where no eye can see, so too must you be planted before you can rise. The darkness around you isn't evidence of death, it's proof of development. A buried seed doesn't panic, it pushes. It doesn't scream for attention, it surrenders to the process. It trusts the timing of the one who planted it. When God hides you, He often silences the noise around you, not because you're unimportant, but because you're irreplaceable. He is forming something in you that cannot be replicated or rushed. Some blessings are too delicate to survive premature exposure. Some callings require a silence so deep it presses out every ounce of pride and fills you with unwavering dependence on Him alone. This is the kind of preparation that can't be faked. It can't be bought. It's earned in the hidden places where only God sees and only heaven applauds. And when it feels like no one sees you, that's where the beauty is. Because when no one sees you, no one can shape you. Only the potter's hands are forming you in the hidden chamber of divine design. He's molding you according to your purpose, not your popularity. He's crafting you to last, not just to be liked. This is why you must trust the silence, trust the seasons where nothing seems to be moving, because even when it looks like nothing is happening, everything is shifting in the spirit. Think of an arrow. Before it is launched forward with power and speed, it is pulled backward. The further it is pulled into the bow, the greater the velocity with which it is released. Your hidden season may feel like you're being pulled back, away from progress, away from exposure, but it is that very tension that's setting you up for rapid advancement. God is pulling you into Himself so that when the time comes, you'll be released into your assignment with unstoppable momentum. And when the time comes, because it will come, you won't need to introduce yourself. You won't need to strive or force your way in. The same God who hid you will be the one who reveals you. He will open doors no man can shut. He will cause your name to be spoken in rooms your feet have never entered. You won't chase the stage will search for you. Because when God reveals what He has hidden, He does it with purpose, precision, and power. Until then, embrace the hiding. It is holy, it is strategic, it is divine. You are not invisible, you are being preserved. You are not irrelevant, you are being refined. This season is not the end of your story. It is the womb of something glorious. And when God decides it's time, no force on earth will be able to stop what He is about to unveil. When God gets ready to move in your life, He doesn't operate within the limits of human logic. He doesn't ask for permission from people, nor does He consult your resume, your background, or your bank account. His blessings are not defined by the opinions of others, and when He decides to release something into your life, it will be so big, so unusual, and so beyond your expectations that it will shake you first before it settles you. The blessing that's coming is not going to look familiar. It will arrive with such weight and wonder that your first reaction might not be excitement. It might be disbelief. It might leave you stunned, speechless, wondering, is this really for me? That's because God's blessings often come wrapped in glory that the human mind can't immediately grasp. We are conditioned to think in terms of effort, toil, and time. We measure success in increments, steps, and strategies. But when heaven releases a divine interruption, it bypasses your process and delivers what only God could engineer. It's not going to be what you expected. It will exceed it. It's not going to arrive the way you imagined. It will arrive in a way that makes you bow, not boast. And before it lifts you, it will humble you, because you'll realize that this had nothing to do with your ability and everything to do with His sovereignty. God is not limited by natural law. He speaks to dead things and they breathe again. He walks on water and commands storms with a word. He multiplies what's not enough until it becomes more than enough. So when He decides to bless you, it's not going to make sense. It's going to make history. You're not going to be able to explain how it happened. You won't have a formula. You won't have a 5-step plan to repeat it. The only explanation will be God did it. That's why it will shock you first, because it will cancel every doubt you once had. It will erase the idea that you had to earn everything. It will dismantle your old understanding of what's possible. You may be preparing yourself for something small, something manageable, something safe, but God is preparing to do something massive, something public, something undeniable. And that's why He's been silent. That's why the waiting has been long. That's why the pressure has increased, because what He's about to release is too heavy for shallow foundations. He has been stretching your faith, expanding your vision, and emptying your hands, not to leave you empty, but to prepare you to carry something that will not just change your life, but will impact everything connected to you. It will come in such a way that even the people closest to you will be astonished. The ones who saw you cry will now see you crowned. The ones who counted you out will be the ones who watch you rise. And they'll ask, how did this happen so fast? What they won't understand is that while it looked sudden, it wasn't sudden to God. It was scheduled, it was written, it was planned long before your struggle ever began. And now that the time has come, nothing can stop it. You see, when God blesses you like this, it's not just about you, it's about His name. He blesses in a way that brings glory to Himself. He blesses in a way that shuts the mouths of doubters and opens the eyes of skeptics. It's the kind of blessing that doesn't just elevate you, it reveals Him. It becomes a testimony, a message in motion. People will look at your life and see the hand of God so clearly, they'll have to admit this had to be the work of the Lord. And you'll find yourself standing in rooms you didn't campaign to enter. You'll hear your name spoken in places your feet haven't touched yet. You'll be handed opportunities that you didn't compete for, because this blessing isn't a reward, it's a divine assignment. It's favor, not fairness. It's grace, not grind. And the very fact that it shocks you is proof that you couldn't have made it happen on your own. It's beyond strategy, beyond connection, beyond credentials. It is purely, powerfully, and profoundly God. So don't be alarmed when it happens and you feel overwhelmed. That's normal. Heaven's blessings are weighty. Glory is heavy. When God trusts you with something big, He often lets it hit hard, not to crush you, but to make sure you recognize the magnitude of what just happened. You'll feel the shift before you can explain it. You'll weep before you speak. You'll praise before you process. And in that moment, everything will make sense. The waiting, the tears, the isolation, the prayers that seemed unanswered, it all prepared you for this. You're about to receive something so breathtaking, it will silence your doubts before it even silences your enemies. You're going to stand in awe, not because of what you did, but because of who God is. And when it hits your life, the only thing you'll be able to say is, this blessing is too big for me to have earned. It's too perfect for me to have planned. It's too sudden for me to have expected. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in my eyes. There's something mysterious and often misunderstood about the way God elevates His people. In our natural mindset, we expect advancement to come through visibility, applause, and promotion. We think rising means being noticed, being endorsed, being celebrated. But God's pattern is far different. Before He lifts you up, He often pulls you away. Before you stand on platforms, He walks you through lonely paths. Before you become known, He places you in seasons where no one calls, no one notices, and no one seems to care. It's not rejection, it's refinement. It's not abandonment, it's preparation. God isolates before He elevates. We see this principle over and over again in the lives of the great men and women of Scripture. Moses, raised in the palace, was driven into the wilderness for 40 years before God called him to lead Israel out of bondage. David, anointed as king while still a teenager, was sent back to tend sheep while Saul reigned. Even Jesus, the Son of God, was led by the Spirit into the wilderness for 40 days before He launched His public ministry. The path to purpose is never paved with immediate recognition. It's paved with seasons of silence, moments of separation, and long walks through obscurity. Why does God do this? Because promotion without preparation is dangerous. Influence without maturity can destroy you. Power without purity can poison everything you touch. And so God, in His mercy, isolates you, not to punish you, but to protect you. Not to hide your gift, but to hone it. Not to delay your destiny, but to develop the depth that destiny requires. The hidden place is not a holding cell. It's a holy chamber. It's where pride dies and purpose is born. It's where your identity is stripped of performance and rooted in intimacy with Him. In isolation, you learn to hear God's voice above the noise. You learn to trust Him when there's no crowd to cheer you on. You discover that His presence is enough, even when applause is absent. And that's when you become dangerous to the enemy, because you're no longer driven by the need for affirmation. You've been anchored in God's approval. You've been separated so that when He sends you, you go with clarity, conviction, and consecration. Isolation builds intimacy. It's in the quiet that the oil begins to flow. The anointing is not born on the stage. It's born in the secret place. It's not produced by popularity. It's produced by proximity. God draws you close, away from the clutter, so He can deposit something in you that cannot be shaken by public scrutiny. He's not punishing you with loneliness. He's trusting you with intimacy, because what He's placing in you is weighty, and weight can't be carried by those who haven't been strengthened in the silence. The wilderness isn't a waste, it's a workshop. It's where you learn how to wield your sword in private before ever facing a Goliath in public. It's where your motives are purified, where your heart is softened, where your faith is forged. You may be crying out for the next level, but God is building the inner infrastructure to sustain that level. You're asking for doors, but He's working on your character, because when the spotlight comes, it will reveal not just your gift, but your soul. And He loves you too much to let you ascend without being whole. Sometimes God will strip you of your crutches so you can learn to walk by faith. He'll remove the voices you depended on, the platforms you leaned on, the relationships you idolized, just so you can discover that He alone is your source. In isolation, the applause fades and the distractions die, and suddenly you realize you were never called to be popular. You were called to be powerful, and power comes from presence, not performance. What feels like being set aside is actually being set apart. There is a consecration happening in your life that others may not understand. They may think you've lost your way, that you're going backwards, that you've missed your moment. But what they don't see is that God is cultivating something sacred within you. He's molding you, shaping you, and anchoring you in Himself. Because when He lifts you, He wants you to be unshakable, not tossed by opinion, not distracted by fame, not manipulated by opportunities. He wants you grounded in truth, filled with wisdom, and clothed in humility. If you're in a season of separation right now, don't despise it. Don't rush out of it. Don't try to escape what God is using to equip you. Let the silence do its work. Let the hidden place become your holy ground. Because when God isolates you, it's only a matter of time before He unveils you. And when He does, the world won't just see your gift. They'll see His glory resting on your life. Time can feel like a thief when you're waiting on God. Days blend into weeks, weeks into months, and sometimes years pass without a sign of progress. The delay can feel heavy, like a silent verdict that maybe you missed your opportunity or that somehow you've fallen behind. You look around and see others advancing, building, celebrating, while you are still praying, still believing, still waiting, and it becomes easy to wonder if you're late, if you've missed it, if the window has closed. But let this truth echo in your spirit. You are not behind. You're on God's calendar. Heaven doesn't use clocks. It doesn't consult earthly timelines or human schedules. God operates according to divine timing, strategic, precise, and often hidden. While we're worried about when, God is focused on what. He's not concerned with how long it's taking. He's invested in what it's producing. Because for God, process always precedes promotion. He's not in a rush. He's eternal. And He knows exactly when to release what He's promised. Sometimes we mistake delay for denial. We think that because something hasn't happened yet, it must not be meant to happen. But there is a vast difference between not now and never. God's delays are never accidental. They are filled with purpose, preparation, and protection. The wait is not wasted. The silence is not empty. Behind the curtain of your current reality, God is arranging things in such a specific way that when it comes together, it will leave you in awe. What felt late to you will be revealed to be right on time in the realm of purpose. Consider Abraham. God gave him a promise that he would become the father of many nations. But that promise didn't manifest for 25 years. Think about that. 25 years of carrying a word from God with no visible sign. Yet at the appointed time, God fulfilled what He said. Not a moment early, not a second late. God wasn't checking Abraham's watch. He was aligning generations, history, and divine timing. That's how he works. You may not see the full picture now, but God sees the end from the beginning, and he's writing a story that's bigger than your timeline. There's a divine reason why God doesn't always reveal his schedule. If he told you exactly when things would happen, you might lose the depth of dependence on him. Trust grows strongest in the unknown. Faith is forged in the unseen. The waiting develops a posture of surrender that success alone never could. God uses time to build something in you that can carry what he's about to release through you, because it's not just about getting there, it's about staying there. It's not just about receiving the blessing, it's about becoming the person who can handle the blessing with wisdom and humility. You are not delayed. You are being prepared. The unseen work in your life is just as important, if not more important, than the visible breakthrough you're waiting for. What God is doing inside of you right now is foundational. He's deepening your roots so that when your season of fruitfulness comes, you won't be shaken by the winds of pressure or public opinion. Your timeline isn't broken, it's blessed because it's authored by the one who holds eternity in his hands. God is not late. He is strategic. He is intentional. He is calculating movements you cannot see, orchestrating alignments you couldn't arrange if you tried. He's softening hearts, opening doors, shutting others, preparing rooms, assigning angels, all while you think nothing is happening. What feels like a standstill is often divine setup. What appears as silence is often sacred orchestration. We live in a culture obsessed with instant gratification. Everything must be quick, results, recognition, reward. But God's kingdom doesn't operate like a microwave. It's more like a slow-burning fire. It takes time, but the result is lasting, powerful, and undeniable. God doesn't just want to bless you fast. He wants to bless you well. He wants to establish you in such a way that your blessing doesn't collapse under pressure. And for that to happen, your timing has to be his timing. Don't curse the clock. Don't resent the rhythm of heaven. You may feel like you're behind, but you're exactly where you need to be for what God is forming in you. Let others run their race. Let them build, achieve, and shine. Celebrate them, but don't compare their chapter to yours. Your book is being written by the author of time, and when he turns the page, everything will shift so suddenly, so powerfully, that what took years to believe for will manifest in moments. So hold fast, remain faithful. Keep showing up, keep growing in the dark, knowing that your season is on the schedule of heaven. And when it arrives, it won't be late, it will be perfect. Not just because the blessing finally showed up, but because you will be ready to carry it with strength, with grace, and with the understanding that it was never really about time. It was always about trust. When God chooses to bless you, he doesn't do it just for you. He's never just thinking about your individual comfort, your momentary satisfaction, or even your immediate breakthrough. No, when God moves in your life, he thinks generationally. He thinks legacy. He thinks far beyond your current address, your age, your career, or your current struggles. What he's about to release into your hands is designed to touch not just your life, but the lives of those who come after you. You may be praying for a miracle, but God is preparing a movement. You may be asking for provision, but God is planning a generational outpouring that will flow through your bloodline long after you're gone. This is why the blessing that's coming is so massive. It's not sized according to your needs. It's sized according to your assignment. It's not just customized for your comfort. It's crafted for divine impact. When God blesses you, he's thinking about your children and your children's children. He's considering the chain reaction that will start when he shifts your position. He knows how one breakthrough in your life will cancel decades of struggle in your lineage. He knows how one act of divine favor on you will rewrite the culture of your household. What you break through becomes the floor your descendants stand on. Many people underestimate the weight of generational blessing. They pray for personal success, but God is preparing them for legacy. This is why the process is so intense. This is why the fire feels hotter, because what you're carrying isn't ordinary. What you're carrying will shape atmospheres and alter bloodlines. You are not just being positioned for personal promotion. You are being raised up as a gatekeeper for your family, a pioneer for your lineage. What God is doing through you will echo far beyond you. Think of Abraham. God didn't just call him to be blessed. He called him to be a blessing. The covenant wasn't just for Abraham's life. It was for his descendants, for a nation, for the earth. Through you, all nations of the earth shall be blessed. That's the level God thinks on. That's the scale of his promise. And he's still writing those kinds of stories today through people like you. People who have endured pain they didn't understand. People who have broken cycles, rejected limitations, and trusted God when everything said give up. People who have walked through valleys carrying a vision no one else could see. Why? Because they weren't just carrying a blessing, they were carrying generational oil. This is why the attack against your life has been so fierce. The enemy sees the seed in you. He's not just trying to steal your joy, he's trying to stop your legacy. He's not just fighting your progress, he's resisting your generational influence. Because if you ever step fully into what God has placed on your life, hell knows it won't just shift you, it will shift everything connected to you. It will shift your children, your family, your finances, your spiritual lineage, your legacy, your region, your influence. And here's the truth. Generational blessings often begin with generational sacrifices. Someone has to say yes when it's hard. Someone has to break the mold, reject the curse, stop the cycle. Someone has to endure the pain of transformation so that others can enjoy the freedom of victory. That someone is often the one who chooses faith over familiarity, obedience over comfort, and vision over survival. That someone is you. God is not giving you just enough for today. He's giving you enough to shift your tomorrow. He's not blessing you so you can sit in comfort. He's blessing you so you can break limitations. He's placing wealth in your hands so you can fund movements, lift others, and build what will outlive you. He's pouring favor on your name so your children will walk into rooms with access you never had to fight for. He's planting revelation in your spirit so that truth will flow through your family like a river that cannot be dammed. So prepare for what's coming. It will not be ordinary. It will not be temporary. This is legacy territory. This is inheritance level impact. This is the kind of blessing that gets recorded in heaven's history books. The kind that shifts generations and silences generational curses. You are the interruption in the pattern, the bridge between bondage and blessing. You are the fulfillment of prayers your ancestors whispered and never saw with their eyes. And what's coming to you will be a fulfillment, not just of your desires, but of God's multi-generational promise. Get ready to carry more than what you asked for. God is entrusting you with influence, wisdom, vision, and increase that will flow far beyond your timeline. You are not just a receiver, you are a releaser. And when this blessing shows up, it will not just change your season, it will birth a legacy that ripples through time. When God begins to prepare you for something extraordinary, He often leads you through a season that feels like it's breaking you. It's not a gentle nudge or a quiet adjustment. It's a full-on pressing, stretching, and shaking. Everything that used to feel familiar suddenly begins to shift. People change, resources dry up, paths close, and the comfort you once relied on is nowhere to be found. In these moments, it's tempting to believe you've done something wrong. But the truth is, this breaking is not to destroy you. It's to fit you. It's the process required to shape you for the magnitude of the blessing that's coming. God is too wise to hand you something your character can't carry. He's too faithful to release a blessing that would crush you instead of lift you. So before He places that next level in your hands, He allows a season of breaking, not to diminish you, but to equip you, not to punish you, but to purify you. Because divine promotion requires internal transformation. There are things inside of you, habits, mindsets, insecurities, fears, that cannot go with you into the place God is preparing for you. And the breaking is the only way to separate you from what can't stay. It is in the breaking that pride is dismantled. It's where ego is crushed and entitlement is stripped away. You begin to see that you cannot do this in your own strength, that your degrees, your connections, your charisma, none of them are enough. You begin to lean more fully into God, not as a religious concept, but as your very source. You learn to trust Him with questions you can't answer and seasons you don't understand. And slowly your heart begins to shift from wanting the blessing to wanting the blesser. That's where the real preparation begins. The breaking season is where God rewires your identity. You come in thinking you're one thing, but you leave knowing you're something else entirely. The titles fall off, the masks come off. What people said about you loses its hold. You stop trying to perform and start learning how to be. You begin to realize that your value was never in what you could produce, but in who you belong to. This is where the insecurity dies, where the imposter syndrome fades, where the authentic you begins to emerge. And that authentic version of you, that's the one God has been waiting on. That's the version that can carry the weight of what's coming. Because what's on the way is not small, it's not casual, it's not manageable in human terms. It's a blessing so massive that if God had given it to you before the breaking, you would have mishandled it, misunderstood it, or made it about you. But now, after the pressing, you've got the perspective to hold the blessing with honor and humility. The breaking also builds endurance, the kind of endurance that doesn't flinch when pressure comes, the kind that stands tall when storms rage. Because here's the truth, when the blessing arrives, so will the scrutiny. When the door opens, so will the attacks. And if you haven't been forged in the fire, you'll fold under the spotlight. So God lets you bleed in private so you can lead in public. He lets you walk through the fire so when you walk into the room, you carry an authority that can't be taught. It can only be earned through obedience in pain. There's a maturity that is born in the breaking, a depth that can't be gained any other way. You start praying differently. You listen more. You move slower. You obey quicker. You're not chasing recognition anymore. You're pursuing purpose. You're not performing to be accepted. You're walking in the confidence that you're already chosen. This kind of person is rare. This kind of person is ready. And that's who you are becoming. What's incredible is that after the breaking, you begin to realize something powerful. The breaking didn't destroy you. It built you. It didn't make you smaller. It made you stronger. It didn't disqualify you. It equipped you. And the scars you carry aren't signs of failure. They're proof that you were trusted with pain because you were destined for purpose. You've survived what others would have surrendered to. You've stayed faithful when others walked away. And God doesn't ignore that kind of endurance. So when the blessing finally comes, and it won't find you unprepared. It will find a vessel that has been tried and tested, shaped and surrendered. A vessel that is not only ready to receive, but worthy to carry. And when you walk in that blessing, you'll do it with the quiet confidence of someone who has been broken in private, but crowned in public. Not because you forced it, not because you earned it, but because you were fitted for it through fire. That's the power of the breaking. It doesn't take you out. It pulls the real you out, the you that's been hidden under fear, buried under pressure, suffocated by performance, the you that God designed for greatness. And once that version of you rises, the blessing will come looking for you because now you don't just want it, you're ready for it. There are moments in life when the weight of what you're facing seems unbearable, when the waiting becomes exhausting and the silence of heaven feels like a shout of abandonment. You've prayed, fasted, trusted, and done all you know to do, and still nothing seems to move. In these spaces, the soul begins to question, did God forget about me? But what you must understand is this: delay is not denial. In the divine realm, silence does not mean absence. God isn't ignoring you. He's incubating something so profound, so massive, so heaven-born that it requires layers of time, timing, and transformation. He's not late. He's precise. God's timing isn't based on the ticking of your clock, but on the alignment of divine destiny. He's not just orchestrating events. He's aligning lives. He's setting the stage, moving the scenery, positioning key players, shifting atmospheres, and even causing the enemy to unknowingly participate in his plan. What feels like inactivity is actually invisible strategy. While you're walking through what seems like a pause, God is preparing a stage for your reveal. You're not forgotten, you're hidden. And there's a difference. Hiddenness is sacred. It's protection. It's preservation. Because what's being developed in you is not for premature exposure. God is building you in secret so He can bless you in public. The delay is also designed to work something deep in your spirit. Patience is not passive. It's power under control. It's trusting God when you don't see progress, believing when the evidence isn't visible, and choosing faith over frustration. There's a refinement that only comes through waiting. Waiting exposes your motives, purifies your desires, and deepens your dependency. You stop trying to manipulate outcomes. You quit trying to speed up the process. And somewhere in the waiting, you move from striving to surrender. Surrender is the posture heaven honors. It says, God, I don't just want what you promised. I want it when you say I'm ready. I want it your way, in your time, through your process. That kind of heart can be trusted with anything because it's not trying to use the blessing, it's trying to steward it. And that's when heaven begins to accelerate what once seemed delayed. Because when your heart posture shifts, your capacity does too. Now God can release what He held back, not because He didn't want to give it to you, but because He was waiting for you to become the person who could carry it well. What's fascinating is how quickly everything can change once heaven gives the green light. You can be stuck for years, and in a moment, one phone call, one encounter, one divine reversal, everything shifts. That's how God works. When His time arrives, there's no struggle in the manifestation. There's no forcing, no grasping. The doors open on their own. The hearts change without explanation. The promotion lands in your lap. The resources locate you, because when it's time, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. That's why you must not misinterpret the delay. Don't let waiting make you bitter. Don't let silence convince you God doesn't care. Don't let slow seasons make you sabotage what's coming. Your blessing is not on hold, it's on schedule. And the bigger the blessing, the more precise the timing has to be. God is not just trying to bless your life, He's trying to shift your legacy. That kind of move takes time. It takes layers. It takes levels of obedience, levels of brokenness, levels of refinement. But when it arrives, it won't feel delayed. It will feel divinely timed. Many people abort what God is doing because they can't handle waiting. They grow restless, settle for lesser, or try to manufacture what only heaven can release. But when you truly trust the timing of God, you won't force a counterfeit. You'll recognize that what's from Him will not require manipulation. It won't require stress. It won't cost you your peace. The right thing at the wrong time becomes the wrong thing. So let God be God. Let Him do it His way. And while you wait, let the waiting work in you. Even Jesus had to wait. 30 years of preparation for 3 years of public ministry. Hidden in Nazareth, silent to the crowds, learning obedience through the things He suffered. And when the moment came, John the Baptist declared, "Behold, the Lamb of God." It was time. Heaven had been waiting, but not idle, preparing. And when Jesus stepped into His season, nothing could stop it, not even hell. The same God is writing your story, and He hasn't forgotten a single line. Every delay, every detour, every moment of silence, it's been accounted for. And when it's time, you'll understand why you had to wait. The blessing won't just meet your need, it will exceed your expectation. It will silence every doubter. It will restore everything time tried to steal. It will be so sudden, so undeniable, so massive, it will feel like a dream. And you'll look back and say, now I understand. God wasn't denying me, He was preparing me. And this was worth every second of the wait. Sometimes the most powerful doors God opens in your life are the ones no human could ever touch. Not the ones your resume qualifies you for, not the ones your network arranges, not even the ones you logically expected, but the ones that only God could design, position, and swing wide in a moment of divine intervention. These are not ordinary opportunities. These are what the Bible calls effectual doors. Doors of purpose, doors of power, and doors of unprecedented influence. They don't just change your life, they reroute your destiny. And the beauty of these doors is that no man can shut them. When God opens it, it stays open until you walk through. There is something glorious about knowing that the blessing that's coming to you doesn't need a committee to approve it. You don't need to be voted in, recommended, or celebrated for God to move. Heaven doesn't operate on human applause. When it's your time, God bypasses the systems, protocols, and structures man depends on, and He ushers you straight into the space He designed with your name on it. He doesn't need to ask permission to bless you. He doesn't have to consult the people who doubted you. In fact, many times He'll bless you in front of the very people who thought you were disqualified. That's how you know it's a God door, because it shocks your mind, humbles your heart, and silences your critics. And what's so astonishing is the way these doors open. One moment it looks like nothing is moving, and the next, everything shifts. Suddenly, someone calls you out of nowhere. A connection you didn't ask for becomes a divine key. An idea you had long forgotten reemerges with favor attached to it. A dream you thought had expired begins to breathe again. This is the divine fingerprint of God, the orchestration of something so specific, so intentional, that you know no one else could have authored it. When God opens a door, it opens without striving. It opens without manipulation. It opens with peace. But make no mistake, these divine doors are not merely for your benefit. They are strategic for the kingdom. God doesn't just open doors to give you status. He opens doors to position you for influence, purpose, and impact. Your blessing is connected to your assignment. The open door is not just about elevation. It's about execution. It's about walking into rooms where your voice, your presence, your wisdom, and your anointing can bring transformation. So when God opens the door, don't just walk through it thinking about what you can gain. Ask Him what you are there to give, because the blessing is massive, but the responsibility is holy. Another remarkable aspect of divine doors is that they often come after a season of delay or obscurity. Many people think the door opens when things are perfect, when all the lights are green and the winds are favorable. But more often than not, God opens the door in the middle of chaos. He doesn't wait for everything to make sense. He opens doors that pull you out of confusion, out of delay, out of survival, and thrust you into clarity, momentum, and divine order. You won't always feel ready, but God knows when the preparation is complete. Sometimes the enemy will try to intimidate you at the threshold of your open door. He'll stir up fear, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, or even distractions. Anything to keep you from walking into what's already yours. But hear this clearly. If God opened the door, it's not a test, it's a transition. Your job is not to overthink it, it's to step into it. God doesn't give you a breakthrough so you can second guess it. He gives you a breakthrough so you can walk in it with boldness and gratitude. Don't allow fear to paralyze what faith has been preparing you for. And here's the divine twist. Often, the open door won't look like what you expected. It may come in the form of a problem to solve, a burden to carry, or a challenge to rise to. It might even come dressed in discomfort. But if you discern it with your spirit, you'll realize it's not just an open door. It's a God door. One that requires your trust more than your talent. One that stretches you, grows you, humbles you, and enlarges your territory in the process. You might not feel qualified, but if the door opened for you, it means God already sees you as ready. He doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. And when the time is right, He will present you in places you never lobbied for. You'll walk through gates you didn't knock on, into rooms you didn't promote yourself into. And the reason is simple. God doesn't bless you based on your reputation. He blesses you based on your obedience, your surrender, and your heart posture. This is the season where doors are opening that no man can shut. Doors that will advance your calling, confirm your identity, and shift your entire reality. Not just for you, but for generations after you. So get ready, stay alert, keep your heart pure and your spirit expectant. Because when the door opens, and it will, you won't have to force it. You'll just have to walk in. There are moments when God moves in such a way that it leaves you breathless, not because of fear, but because of how deeply it pierces your understanding. It's as if heaven overrides every earthly pattern, every logical process, every rule and timeline you thought applied. Suddenly, what should have taken years happens in days. What was deemed impossible becomes undeniable. The things you thought you lost forever begin to chase you down, not as a recovery, but as a divine overflow. That is the kind of blessing that God releases when He has decided it's your time. It doesn't trickle in. It doesn't come quietly. It breaks open like a flood, and you're left standing in the river of a promise too big to contain. God doesn't bless according to man's measurements. He blesses in accordance with His nature, abundant, overflowing, immeasurable. He said in Ephesians that He's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that you ask or think, which means even your most audacious prayer still falls short of what He's truly able to release. That's why His blessings often arrive in ways that don't make sense. He's not trying to fit your expectation. He's revealing His nature. And His nature is generous. His heart is lavish. He's not a God of just enough. He's the God of more than enough. More peace than you imagined, more favor than you thought possible, more restoration than you believed could ever be yours. What makes these blessings even more profound is that they often emerge out of broken places, not the mountaintops, but the valleys, not in your strength, but in your surrender. You look at your situation and think, there's nothing left here but rubble. And God says, perfect, that's exactly where I build best. He takes the ruins of your former season and crafts the framework for something that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. You bring Him your brokenness, and He brings you a breakthrough so massive, it makes the pain of the past seem like a necessary prelude to the glory of now. He wastes nothing, not your tears, not your time, not even your regrets. And here's the truth you speak about. When a blessing comes that big, it doesn't just shock you, it humbles you. It makes you look back and realize just how deeply God's hand was on your life the entire time. Even when you were off course, even when you doubted, even when you were discouraged and ready to give up, you begin to see that while you were panicking, He was planning. While you were weary, He was working. The entire time, heaven was orchestrating moments that would converge into your breakthrough. And when it comes, it doesn't feel like something you earned. It feels like something God entrusted to you. That's why this level of blessing is not just a gift, it's a responsibility. It's not meant to puff you up, it's meant to pour you out. When God blesses you in a way that shocks even you, it's because He wants to use your story to awaken faith in others. Your life becomes a testimony. Your rise becomes a message. Your joy becomes a signpost that says, if God could do it for me, He can do it for you. It's never about you being elevated. It's about Him being glorified. And the more you keep your heart postured in humility, the more He'll entrust you with blessings that blow your mind. But don't be surprised if this kind of blessing comes wrapped in unusual packaging. It may come after deep heartbreak. It may come after a season of pruning. It may arrive just when you've made peace with letting go. That's because God often waits until the moment your identity is no longer attached to the outcome. When your hands are open and your spirit is surrendered, that's when He pours. Not when you're striving, but when you're still. Not when you're demanding, but when you're trusting. The blessing may shock you in scale, but it will match your maturity in timing. This is not a season of barely enough. It's not a season of slow steps and small increments. This is a heaven-ordained acceleration. You may have waited long, but you will not leave empty. You will leave loaded with wisdom, loaded with strength, loaded with resources, loaded with revelation, loaded with peace. What God is about to drop into your life will be so massive that people won't understand how you got there so fast. But you will know it wasn't luck or hustle or charm. It was the hand of God. It was a divine appointment. And when they ask how, your only answer will be, God did this. So make room, clear the clutter in your heart. Get rid of limiting beliefs. Forgive what needs to be forgiven. Align your spirit with expectancy. Because when the blessing breaks through, it will not knock gently. It will come like a sudden downpour, intense, undeniable, and full of favor. You've waited, you've wept, you've warred in the Spirit. Now get ready to be wowed, because the blessing God is sending isn't just going to meet your need, it's going to make you a walking testimony of His power, His faithfulness, and His divine timing. And when it lands, it won't just change your situation, it'll redefine your entire life. What you've just heard is not mere motivation, it is divine confirmation. You are not waiting for an ordinary change. You are standing on the edge of a supernatural breakthrough. God is not preparing a typical blessing. He is orchestrating a release so massive, so unexpected, that it will shock your senses and stretch your capacity to believe. What's coming won't just change a chapter, it will rewrite your story. It will silence every lie that said you were too late, too broken, too small, or too far behind. You are about to see what happens when heaven overrides earth's timeline. God is breaking you out, not into chaos, but into calling, not into noise, but into purpose. And when He does it, no man will be able to take credit for it. You'll walk through doors you didn't knock on. You'll receive favor you didn't earn. And you'll realize that everything that didn't work out before was setting you up for something better than you imagined. What tried to delay you will serve to distinguish you. What broke you will now bless you. So lift your faith, shake off fear, let go of control. The God who sees the end from the beginning is already in your future, and He's making room for something you've never seen before. Don't shrink back, don't doubt, just stay ready, because when it happens, it won't be a process, it'll be a sudden shift. The blessing will be so massive, it'll shock you first, but when the shock settles, you'll know this was the hand of God all along, and your only response will be worship. Get ready, it's your time.